The next two types of commas are dealing with introductory phrases and introductory clauses. In both cases, these commas are absolutely necessary, and they're really a marker of a more sophisticated writer, somebody who's using a more advanced sentence structure. They're putting a phrase at the beginning of the sentence or a clause at the beginning of the sentence in front of the sentence's main independent clause. This phrase or clause or introductory clause is in front of the independent clause. Keep in mind that the independent clause is grammatically the backbone of the sentence. That is what the sentence must have. In these cases, both with the introductory phrase and the introductory clause, the comma is necessary, and it acts kind of as a flag to say, hey, right around the corner is the subject and verb of the main independent clause. It's right after this comma. And that's what happens with each one of these. So an example here is on the first day of class, the teacher wore brown socks. Now this actually has two introductory phrases, it seems like. On the first day is a prepositional phrase, of class is another prepositional phrase. So often students ask, well, do I put one after the day and after the class? Actually, no, because really what that comma is there for is as a flag to say the subject of the sentence, the subject of that independent clause is right around the corner. That's what that comma does. So you put it right here, and after that introductory phrase, and really this is two phrases working together as one, here's the main subject, the teacher. The teacher is the subject, or is the verb. That's what that comma does. It's a little flag to say right around the corner is what your mind wants. The English brain really wants the subject and verb of the independent clause. That's what it waits for. Other languages don't rely so heavily on the subject and verb of the independent clause. Spanish, for example, often eliminates the subject of the sentence and incorporates it into the verb. English doesn't do that nearly as often. It can do it, but not nearly as often. So that comma at the end of the introductory phrase is the flag to say, hey, this is your subject and verb of your independent clause coming right up. That's what it does. Okay? So in the next one, the introductory clause, these are when you have a dependent clause at the front of the sentence. At the front of the sentence, not at the end. And once again, it's for that reason, because that reason is to flag the subject and verb of the independent clause. So in this one, when the Congress first met, the representatives debated several laws. Well, the main subject and verb are the representatives debated. That's right here. This would get somewhat confusing if there weren't a comma after met. This comma right here is a flag to say, hey, right around the corner is that subject and verb of the independent clause that you're looking for. So when the Congress first met, comma, the representatives debated several laws. This is the subject and verb of the independent clause. What you can do is move that dependent clause to the end of the sentence. You could say the representatives debated several new laws when the Congress first met. You can move that to the end of the sentence, but you won't need a comma. You won't need the comma here after laws because you already have the subject and verb of the independent clause at the front of the sentence. So if I move when the Congress first met to the end, the subject and verb of the independent clause now start the sentence. The representatives debated several new laws when the Congress first met. So you no longer need a comma. You would not need a comma here before the subordinating conjunction because that subject and verb are already clear. They've already been given at the front of the sentence. So you need it whenever you have an introductory phrase or an introductory clause as a flag to say, hey, the main subject, main verb of the independent clause are coming right up. Because your English brain will always look for that independent clause as the backbone of the sentence. That's what these commas work for. They're for very good and logical reasons. Take care.